I am going to make the start of the GGR on time, and while it's a tight schedule, I think everything's falling into place. It should work out. My biggest frustration so far has probably been linked to the financial aspect of the race. It's far more costly than I had anticipated, but I've had great help from friends and family, and and every little bit has helped. So while it's been a big frustration and one of probably a few, it's been the biggest one, but not insurmountable, I'm hoping. I haven't practiced or bought any of the filming devices that the race has prescribed to us, but I have time with the GoPro, but no time with 6mm, 16mm, or Super 8. But by the sounds of things, I'll probably be going with the Super 8, as it seems like it might be simpler to learn and use. I've just recently started the cassette drive so that I will have music aboard the boat, and books too. You can have books on tape, which I would also like. As far as books and music go, I will try to collect as much as I can. Books, I'm a big fan of reading. Maybe Nassim Taleb or old sail books that I've maybe read in the past that I really wanted to read again. You might think it's a little much to be reading about it while you're out there, but it certainly fits. As far as the foul weather gear goes, I'm probably unique in this setup where it's kind of a hodgepodge. I have 3 different sets from 3 different manufacturers. One is North 66 from Iceland, and they make fantastic gear, so I'm super excited to try it out. Helly Hansen also makes great gear, and I have a set coming from them. And as far as a survival suit goes, Guy Cotton, I believe it's a Norwegian company, makes a setup that I'm going to be getting. It doesn't look like it's something that you'd want to wear all the time, but it'd be good to have aboard, and it's mandatory equipment. So those will be my 3 sets. As far as what might even be more important is the underlayers, which I've been able to source from a good friend Ann Howard at Continental Ski and Bikes in Duluth. Another instance of the locals, my people here in Minneapolis and Minnesota coming together and making sure I'm taken care of with warm weather gear or cold weather gear. Well, toilet paper isn't something I've given too much thought to. You would think I should have, because I've seen what happens with the wet rolls before, and that could be a big trouble. But I don't know, 15 rolls. Make sure that they're individually sealed so that they don't get wet. I think that would be really important, and it should suffice.
Bring any wet wipes with you?
Bringing wet wipes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's a good trick learned from the Boundary Waters. There's nothing like, the refreshing aspect of the wet wipe. And sometimes it's your only alternative. There's a few different items. Some are boat specific, like mizzen staysail. The previous owner said that was always his secret weapon for speed. My Jordan Series drogue, as well as a smaller one with just maybe 15 cones on it, which just used as a drag device, but not enough to slow you down too much. I think that would also add some comfort aboard when the going gets rough. And let's see, lots of pictures of friends and family, and my Ehed Tamimi doll that I'll be bringing as my good luck charm. I think it's going to vary from day to day. Sometimes you'll send a whole bunch, and sometimes not at all. And I think it comes down to, maybe what your emotional state is at the time. So that'll probably dictate a lot of that. Probably more messages when you're feeling isolated and scared or alone, and less when the going is good. I'm hoping to use standard kitchen timers for cooking, 2-hour timers that provide the ding at the end. And when you need to limit your sleep, that should come in handy. I'm bringing all sorts of food, mostly freeze-dried food, which I've been doing myself so that I could make sure that the diet and quality of food, that I had some control over that. Also, lots of familiar dishes from local restaurateurs that I've been able to put in my freeze dryer, so that'll be a big help. I have canned goods. I love my canned meats. I have the company called Fisherman out of northern Iceland has set me up with 70 cans of monkfish liver, 70 cans of codfish liver, which I find divine. And there's no shortage of other canned goods and fresh food that we'll be taking from the start. As far as the alcohol question goes, people at Taiba Brewery they offered me up any variation of ciders or IPAs or their non-alcoholic blends. So I haven't placed my order with them yet, but they've been eager to help and help provision me. So I'll look for some of their wares. You can probably check them out on their website. Overall, I think it's a great idea, and it tackles a whole element of sail racing that has been underappreciated and underserviced. Not everybody gets a joy out of watching the modern boats because you can't identify with that. But this is family cruisers, so I think that will be a draw, but. As far as the race goes, it certainly has been touched by officialdom far more than I would have anticipated, but I have to reconcile the fact that 50 years have passed from the first race to now, and so that accounts for a lot of it. I think there's two aspects to this race. One would be physical endurance, and the other is mental endurance, and I think the greater of the two will be the mental endurance. It's going to be a mental challenge for everybody involved, and even your friends back home and family. So I would say the mental aspect of it, and just to help you through that, to know that even the race winner of the original one, he had doubts and he had thoughts of quitting and guilt for giving up on the ship and quitting drove him to complete it. So I hope that just knowing that even the person that won had those same thoughts, I hope that helps me get through that. In warm weather, I like to sleep in the cockpit and sleep under the stars. If it's not raining, it's really pleasant, and I can sleep on hard surfaces pretty well. As far as cold weather goes, I have a lee cloth on my bunk, and I was thinking of making some lashings that would keep me in the event of a full rollover. As much as you don't like to think about that, but more often than not, I usually find myself migrating towards the cabin sole, and you're boxed in with the sides. And you're very low, so the motion is minimized, and that seems to be the most comfortable place. I would have never been able to get this close to the start line or make it without the help of friends and family that have really, pulled together as this project became far bigger than I could deal with, and it was threatening to spiral out of control. One guy trying to manage it. Whether Gina Cook or Sandy Ship or you guys and all these friends and family came out of the woodwork to help and pick up some of the pieces. It's been a huge help. The fact that the race has moved from Falmouth to Les Sables initially was a disappointment, because I thought that sailing and from all the old sea books I read, Falmouth was the historic epicenter. But as time has gone on, we see that the epicenter of sailing has moved south, and the French are really holding the banner. So on one hand, I was disappointed initially, and now after seeing the support that is being given to the event in Les Sables and by people that cherish and love the sport, I guess now looking back at it, it's probably a great decision. Other than pictures of loved ones, I did have a Ehed Tamimi doll made, a small little doll which I don't have with me right now, but I'm going to bring that as, she's 16-year-old girl in Palestine in prison, in a military prison, and with no freedom. And I think she exemplified courage in her actions and a bravery that not many of us could, hold a candle to. So, to pay her back for her sacrifice, I will be bringing her doll out, and will give her a taste of some freedom and take her around the world. And besides that, the veterans from the USS Liberty were making one of those sweet and unique, veteran hats from their ship and jacket, which were only given to veterans of the particular ship. So I consider it a badge of honor that they're letting me, setting aside a set for me as well, and I will bear it with me proudly. Leaving the marina when you're alone is always, it's kind of the same feeling with me every time. And, I could sit here and tell you about, how you feel tough about it, and, you're raring to go. But I would say for those first few days, I'm almost always stricken with some self-doubt and worries and, mild anxieties, which after you get beyond the point of turning around, it evaporates, and it goes swimmingly after that. So I'm hopefully just get past those first few days and get on the ship schedule, and everything will smooth out nicely.